Hi everyone, welcome to Ethernal Realms and welcome to the month ahead astrology reading. Make sure you check your sun, moon, and rising signs for a comprehensive view of the month. Additionally, I would recommend watching the tarot reading of the month ahead to get a different perspective. While you will know the astrology in advance through this session, I will also send you a reminder when the astrological events are near. All you have to do is subscribe, hit the bell, and you will be notified as the events occur through my community page. I occasionally post behind the scenes, meditation guidance, quizzes, and polls, which you can check out for yourself. And it goes without saying that you will be notified when new videos are out, such as other zodiac readings and pick a card tarot readings as well. If you prefer to cut down the guesswork about your month ahead, you can always connect with me via Etsy to get a personalized week-by-week month ahead tarot reading paired with the general astrology. Enough about me, let's talk about you. So let's talk about the general overview of October. There's quite a lot of aspects going on this month, so let's break it down into what's the most important and then drill down into each of these aspects. So first thing to note is that we have a Libra solar eclipse, which is a time of the new moon at 21 degrees of Libra occurring on the 14th of the month. I've already made a separate video for the eclipses. There are fateful events. There are some major changes that can happen in the Libran part of your charts, and this is a time of major release in order to rebalance or find a level of fairness, justice, and equality within that Libra area of your chart. And next we have another eclipse, but this is a lunar eclipse. It's a time of a full moon and is occurring in Taurus at 5 degrees. This is occurring on the 28th of the month. So this month is full of eclipse energies. Both the new moon and the full moon events are eclipses, so it seems like a major turnaround. There can be certain curveballs, resolutions, and again letting go of certain things in order to find a rebalancing or evaluation, re-evaluation, revisiting of certain beliefs and conditioning and so on, which can help us down the line. This also I cover in my eclipse specific reading. I will just mention how this affects in your house, but there are a lot more details going into this that I talk about in that separate video. I would recommend you check it out for that. All right, now let's talk about the seasons. We have Libra season, and then later on the sun moves into Scorpio, and that brings us to Scorpio season. And Libra season is all about that, again, harmony. It's kind of that transition point, the midpoint, and like the equinoxes happened and we are now moving into the days becoming a little bit shorter, or you're trying to cultivate more peace, harmony, and communication with relationships and so on that come with that season. And with Scorpio season, we talk about purging, releasing, detoxifying ourselves, and also transforming ourselves for the better. Now, when the sun moves into Scorpio, which is on the 23rd of the month, we also have Mars already in Scorpio, and Mars moves into Scorpio on the 12th. So it's going to be quite an interesting one. It's deeper, darker, more mysterious. It has more of that research mindset, and it does not like to rest before finding the true answer. These are the basic themes that are going on. Meanwhile, the Libra season, we will have Mercury and Mars over there till half the month at least, and that itself is going to have this oomph of the activism and detoxing in order to compromise or to sacrifice certain things that are just like that they're not beneficial to growth or harmony anymore. It is more communicative because Mercury is present as well, and it wants to strive even harder than general to strike this sense of balance. Next thing to note is that we have 7 oppositions and 7 trines. And oppositions are all about me and you. They take into account feedbacks, decisions, and balancing. And all of the elements are being involved, so everyone is going to feel this to some level or the other. Then the 7 trines that we have, they are easy to take for granted. That's kind of the trine energy because they bring about automatic blessings and resolutions of things. And this month we generally are looking at water and earth trines. There is one fire trine, but it's mostly the feminine energies that we're talking about. So there is more receptivity that is going to be blessed, or it can be emotional and physical, material topics that are going to be blessed around this time. Now, trines also bring about harmony within anything that is ongoing as a struggle. Okay, now we have some planets changing signs and direction as well. We have Mercury moving into Libra on the 5th. We have Venus moving into Virgo on the 9th. We have Pluto going from retrograde to direct motion in the sign of Capricorn on the 11th. And this is an important date because this is a time that you can experience certain turnarounds and breakthroughs and transformations. So if you've been struggling with a specific fear or an insecurity or a sense of powerlessness, this can be a time where you recognize, oh wait, this is where I hold my power, or this is how I can call back my power, money, or I can transform myself to feel more like myself. And we have Mercury, who later moves into Scorpio on the 22nd. Now let's talk about the North Node. It has been quite activated throughout this month through trines, oppositions, and conjunctions. And the North Node represents where fate is intervening. And of course, we do have the eclipses, which engages that North Node. It's an orb of that. So we can expect some fateful interventions occurring throughout the month, sprinkled here and there. Different parts of the month will activate different zodiacs. We'll get into that in the zodiac specific part, but we can definitely expect some turnarounds. There can be purposeful developments as well, and there can be a desire to work towards purpose, almost exclusively towards purpose, at least in certain pockets of this month. It's important to take risks because the North Node is in the sign of Aries. So doing something that you're generally afraid of doing, that can be quite blessed. The opportunities will come in, and it's more so about rolling with them. For example, someone might need to learn to say no. Meanwhile, certain people may need to learn to say yes, and that's going to be subjective as to what the opportunity is. It'll be based on your personal experience. But yes, there will be this factor of it's scary for me to say yes to certain things, or it's scary for me to say no to certain things. So it's important to go forward with that area because you know that it is going to bring greater balance into your life. And you can know that because the North Node promises this greater fulfillment if we can push past that initial hurdle or that initial fear. Okay, so let's get into the specifics now. So Capricorns, let's talk about you guys. I'm going to go about this month sequentially as per the aspects, unlike what I did in September. But yeah, okay, so let's just begin. On the 2nd, we have an opposition between Mercury and Neptune. Mercury is in the sign of Virgo, which is a fellow earth sign in your 9th house of belief systems, conditioning, society, religion, spirituality, and anything that you're dealing with regards to foreign travels, cultures, languages, immigration visas, etc. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes under that 9th house sector. And Neptune is right opposite that, which is in the 3rd house of communication, mindsets, local communities, siblings and relatives, any local languages as well, marketing, advertising, things like that. So when this opposition is taking place, there can be a little bit of this lack of clarity or vagueness about what needs to be done or what are the future steps. Maybe there is a lack of balance between what is needing to be done and also caring for yourself. For example, there is a tendency of being overly practical and only caring about that, but then neglecting the personal needs of someone else in the vicinity. It can even be your own, like you have many ambitions and you want to get to all of the projects and get done all of your visions and whatnot, but you also need to take some time to rest and recuperate, to get some creative juices flowing and things like that. But this is not going to be a very long-lived transit, so it's okay if you feel a little bit blurry at this time. Just make sure you're proofreading your work and just reading certain things that you might have to sign or something. But yeah, if any important decisions can wait, then it would be ideal. Okay, so on the 3rd, we have a trine, which is between Mercury and Pluto. And Pluto is retrograde in your zodiac. And this trine is happening between your 9th and your 1st house. Again, because trines are all about harmony, it brings about some sort of resolution or clarity that you've been waiting on, with ongoing projects or contracts, any discussions you might be having. It can even be your own personal plans, and you have just a good, draft of how your procedure is going to look like and what does that mean for your lifestyle and routines. The same day, we have another trine, which is between Venus in Leo and North Node in Aries. And Leo falls in your 8th house of intimacy, your psyche, shadows, transformation, as well as your hidden talents. And Aries falls in your 4th house of home and family, ancestry, as well as your personal life, your personal world and needs. So this, as well as a trine, which means there is a sense of harmony here. So this talks about you are feeling kind of inspired and excited. You want to embark upon something new. Maybe there's a new growth or opportunity or addition in your family or in your home. Perhaps you're purchasing a new home and that requires you to kind of take a loan, but you're like really happy with this whole prospect because it opens up lots of avenues. It can even be that you are working from home for the first time ever, or you're being an entrepreneur for the first time ever, and it's a little bit of a risk, but it's exciting nonetheless. And you are a steady earthy sign. You are a cardinal sign as well, so you definitely take action, but you need to make sure that everything makes sense before you take the leap of faith. If you were, for example, an Aries rising, you probably would just do it without thinking too much about it, but as a Capricorn, I think that methodical approach really comes to use here. On the 5th, we have Mercury moving away from Virgo into your 10th house of Libra. So this brings into focus a lot of communication and correspondences. You might be connecting and networking with people one-to-one in a professional setting. You are thinking about how you can achieve your goals and ambitions in the most amicable and harmonious way possible. There can be certain discussions and debates you have with certain professionals within your existing field as well. And you might be looking at different strategies of how you can bring in clients, or create a sense of camaraderie and service as well in society. So if you have especially anything related with creativity, you can be coming across lots of new ideas here, and brainstorming sessions can be quite fruitful around this time, so keep taking notes. The same day, we have an opposition between Mars in Libra, the same 10th house, and North Node in Aries, which is in that 4th house. So this opposition, again, can be about, how much are you balancing, how are you balancing actually your home and family life with your professional front? So is there a strong focus in the career side of things? And is that really giving you energy? Does that bring you fulfillment? Or are you needing something else at this time? Sometimes I feel we avoid asking that question because we've been doing something for so long that we don't want to say that there is some other answer that could be more fitting at this time. So North Node kind of is challenging that perception that we are stagnant. When the North Node comes into that 4th house, it says that maybe at this moment you want to spend time with your family. Maybe right now you want to be by yourself and not be out front. And we resist that many times. And that's when we fall into that South Node tendency. But regardless, when we have an opposition, it gives us a chance to find that footing and that balance again. There might be a lot of busyness going on though in the workspace, so I'm not going to just put it on you and be like, you're not making the effort or something. Even if you're wanting to, there could be some busyness going on that needs your active attention. But I feel like that with Mercury coming in to help, it essentially is kind of giving you the, how shall I say, it gives you the platform to make your case. You're not waiting on someone else to solve the problem for you to go home. Instead, you can just take the reins, solve the issue, and be like, okay, bye, my time's done, right? So you have some power here. On the 9th, we have Venus moving into Virgo from the sign of Leo. So now it comes into a harmonious angle with you. So it is going to bring you a sense of health, vitality, productivity, efficiency. It's going to help certain processes move along fast. You're feeling more methodical than ever. It's very much your element and you're getting blessed because of it. The same day, we have Mars in Libra squaring with Pluto in Capricorn, and Pluto is retrograde at this time. So again, this can be a conflict between you and your workspace. You might feel a little bit powerless here today because Pluto is retrograde, but it's not going to last for very long. But yeah, you might be kind of forced to take action or like stand up for yourself. There's a little bit of a defensive energy here. It can be defending against, let's say, a passive aggressive leader or something, and you want to have an open and honest discussion about things, but you might be either a little bit nervous to exert yourself, or even if you do, it might not turn out in the best case possible. Patience is key here, but I think you might find it a little bit difficult around this time, and even if you're patient, you might feel a little bit frustrated about this energy. On the 10th, we have an opposition between Venus and Saturn, and the same houses are activated. Sorry, not the same. Yeah, the first energy that I was talking about, that's what's activated, the 9th and the 3rd houses. So this talks about that communication again. You might have, again, lots of plans, and, you've scheduled things in, you have certain procedures on the go and all of that. There might be certain restructuring needing to do with regards to your documentation, or certain other communication you're having in your local environment. Let's say you're collaborating with someone who lives in a different country, and, things are done differently over there, so you might have to go over certain documents you have and see if the specs are compatible, or if you have all of the information that the other person might need. If not, then there is still corresponding energy, so you can have a meeting with them, sort it out, and this goes even for your mindset. Like, if you are planning something in the immediate future that doesn't make sense for the long term, then you are happy to restructure and make sure that everything is on point so that you are achieving your goals. On the 11th, Pluto turns direct, and I'm loving it because it's in your sign. That's awesome. But also, whenever Pluto turns direct, we experience a sense of epiphany and a turnaround. So wherever you felt like, I can't control this, I can't change anything, I'm just kind of nodding along and just going along because I can't do much anyway, right? Wherever you're feeling that about yourself, your reality, whatever circumstance you're dealing with here, Pluto says, well, here you go. This is how you can take power back into your hands. So that's the kind of epiphany, a change in perspective, a change in how you conduct yourself, the power you feel within you, how you empower others as well. There's just a different way that you're presenting yourself, and that itself can be quite magnetic. You might feel like, yes, I got this, I don't have doubts anymore, or even if you do, I can tackle it, no problem, I know how to go about things. On the 12th, we have Mars moving into Scorpio, which is its rulership sign. So Scorpio falls in your 11th house, which is a social house. You are likely to make a strong impression when it comes to your friendships and network circle. People might be a little bit intimidated of you, especially your competitors, but people who are supportive of you, they're just going to stand by you no matter what. Okay, they understand you before you even say anything, and they're behind you with any initiatives you're taking around this time. You also might find that some of your friends are going through a busy time, and they might contact you, or they are having trouble contacting you even if they want to, and your advice can be quite helpful over here, if they reach out or if they ask for it, of course. But yes, this shows some type of busyness and intensity going on. They might even talk about certain difficult emotions they're dealing with, or you might be talking about some, intense things you're dealing with as well. It can be like sudden recollections too with Mars. With Mars, it's so impulsive that you can't even like predict it. And Scorpio is such a hidden house that it's not something you just you don't talk about that every single day. It rules like death and rebirth and purging and all of that. Who talks about that every day, right? So when Mars comes in here, we kind of feel drawn in that area. We're like, what is this? Why do we have this inexplicable pull towards one another? How come we are strangers from different backgrounds, and yet we are best friends over here, right? We totally understand one another and all that. So there can be this gelling energy about, what's behind the scenes, what's mysterious here, what's this pull. On the 13th, we have a trine between Mars and Saturn. Now, this one again is targeting your social houses. That 11th house is Scorpio, and that third house is Pisces. Excellent for, marketing, advertising efforts. If you're starting your own business, all these energies can really support you in moving in that direction. Even if you're not, let's say you're in a leadership position, let's say you're starting out and you need to make new friends. Yes, you can. You can totally do that. And I think the skills and the resources that you've already gathered are going to be very useful in making long-lasting connections. Also really good for creativity as well. So if you want to put your creative stuff out there, it's a nice time. On the 14th, we have a new moon in Libra, and it's an eclipse. Okay, so it's a solar eclipse, and eclipses are much more drastic than a regular new moon or full moon. They play out and become tangible in the coming 4 to 6 months of their occurrence, and they bring about fateful changes. So I've already made an eclipse dedicated reading, and I get into the zodiac specific meanings of everything that's going on behind the scenes along with this new moon energy. So I would highly recommend you check that out, because it falls in your 10th house. That is like who you are on the outside and out front, right? What relationships are you harnessing, and gathering new connections you're building and all of that. So it can be like major energy there. But we do have the south node there, so there can be like a release of certain authority figures, or you are leaving behind your own authority figure, because your own authority position, yes, in order for to start out something else. Maybe you want to switch industries and you need to have a think about that, or you're taking a sabbatical or something like that. So you're looking into all of these different fronts here, and it's not likely going to happen exactly on the 14th, but the seeds are planted at that time. So the 18th, 19th, 20th, and the 21st, they are following their own little story there, so I'm just going to talk about them in a sequence. On the 18th, we have a meeting, let's say, between the Sun and the North Node. They're sitting across from each other in Libra and Aries, which is your 10th and 4th houses, respectively. The Sun is at the top of your chart, and North Node is in the bottom. So now they're talking about, okay, the Sun is like, I have to tell Capricorn where to focus on and what the vision should be, what would bring them peace and harmony and balance and all of that. So what should I do? It asks. And the North Node says, which is the point of the divine talking directly to us, and the point of fate intervening and all of that. It brings us purpose and fulfillment. So that North Node is then saying, okay, Sun, you gotta go this way. Maybe alert Capricorn. Okay, on the 19th, very similar stuff, but instead of the Sun, we have the Mercury having that one-on-one meeting with North Node. So Mercury is asking, okay, so how can I execute something? This is what Capricorn seems to be wanting to do. How can we go about it? And the North Node says, well, these are some steps that we can brainstorm and think about. On the 20th, then, the Sun and Mercury have a meeting of their own. They're like, look, this is what we discussed with the North Node. So let's combine all of this collective knowledge. We know what we want to do, we know how we want to do it, and that's awesome, right? So they're kind of having that one-on-one kind of that conversation together, the joining forces over here. And on the 21st is when the action itself happens. Okay, we first must become aware of it and be kind of clear, have a cohesive knowledge, which is on the 20th. And on the 21st, we're like, well, we're not going to stay stuck in this situation anymore. We are done with this. Let's go out and do something that brings us that sense of empowerment. And I say that because that square with Pluto is interesting, because now Pluto is direct and it's in your sign. So you feel like you have the authority to take charge of your life, your career, your status, your goals, ambitions, whatever you want to be, targeting yourself towards. And The moment you sense that people are not being supportive of you, or that it's draining your energy, and there's no value or respect or whatever, there might be a sense of frustration. By the way, it is a square, it's the nature of the square, can't really hide from that. But that frustration is what pushes us to do something. Otherwise, it's very easy to get complacent, right? So on the 21st, you're definitely taking some sort of action, or like something proceeding from that point. You might decide on that day that you're taking action, and then proceeding onwards, you might have the tough conversations, for example. On the 22nd, we have Mercury moving away from Libra into Scorpio. So now the mind is all about networking. It wants to connect with friends and build a new network, perhaps, collaborate with people who are more like-minded and along the same journey as you. There can be a bit of a transition as well. There can be certain changes in who you talk to as well. You might have some rich, deep, intense conversations with your existing friends, as well. Okay, the same day we have a trine between this newly moved into Scorpio Mercury with Saturn in Pisces, and again, this is the social houses, right? So you're having some important conversations here. The same day we have another trine between Venus and Jupiter. Venus is in Virgo, your 9th house, and Jupiter is in Taurus in your 5th house. So 9th and the 5th houses, this is about what brings you fulfillment, expansion, and opportunities. Now Jupiter is retrograde at this time, so it's unlikely that you're starting a new romance or new hobby or project. It's likely someone that you are already familiar with, or something you've already done before, but you might be taking a different look at it. This is a moment of refinement and understanding something better and deeper, making something more stable instead of something that is, on the go or on the project or something like that. If there are better ways of doing something, you are likely to discover it at this time. On the 23rd, then we have the zodiac season shifting from Libra season into Scorpio season as the sun moves into Scorpio. So that is again bringing a lot of focus and clarity into that networking sector of yours. It also brings into focus your hopes, dreams, and aspirations, your ideals in life as well. There might be certain things that are going to a close, so you don't hope for certain things anymore. You're like, been there, done that, I'm over it, let's move on to this new goal of mine, or this new aspiration that is kind of inspiring me to move in that way. The next day we have a trine between the sun and Saturn is in Pisces, your 3rd house. So again, your social houses are being lit up, some serious conversations or decisions that you're making at this time. You're really loving where things are going, by the way. Your mindset is on point. You know what would be fulfilling for you. You're connecting with others emotionally. You're connecting with yourself emotionally. And you're changing certain structures and habits as well, especially let's say you move from a regular job 9 to 5 to like sabbatical, or are you taking a pause to just reflect on what you want right now, and you're feeling like, yes, this feels awesome, I'm taking a break, I'm not used to taking a break, so I don't know what to do now, but it feels nice anyway, right? On the 28th, we have a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Taurus, which is your 5th house of self-expression, creativity, inner child, children, as well as love, dating, romance, and hobbies. So over here, there is going to be some type of closure or a completion. This is not anything brand new to you. We've been dealing with Taurus eclipses for quite a while now, 1.5 years. So this is going to be basically the grand finale. I talk about this energy as well in the eclipse dedicated reading, because even though we have the eclipse itself in Taurus, we have lots of energies going on right in the opposite sign of Scorpio. So that's going to have a big role to play in this. So I would highly recommend again to check it out. But yes, getting back to this, just in general, there can be some major changes that your children are going through, or there can be a healing that is occurring with your inner child. You're coming to terms with certain difficulties. For example, you might be letting go of certain habits or conditioning of the past, and you're kind of giving yourself this break, and you're emerging very new out into the world. You have a different outlook. The way you're connecting with people are also getting more intimate, and you're grounded and practical. There's like loyalty coming through here as well. Same day, we have an opposition between Mars in Scorpio with Jupiter in Taurus, and Jupiter is retrograde. So this is again looking at, what you want to do out into the world, how you are coming to service to humanity, what you mean to the collective, and what the collective means to you. Same goes with like friendships as well. You might want to spend a little bit time by yourself, but at the same time, you have lots of social events planned, or you might have some parties or something like that to get to. But allow yourself to have fun here. Jupiter is a benefic, so likely it's going to be a great one, lots of fun. The only, shadow side of this would be overdoing it, okay? But, having too much fun, having too many friends, these types of situation is the shadow side. On the 29th, we have an opposition between Mercury and Jupiter, and Mercury is in Scorpio in that 11th house. Jupiter is retrograde in your 5th house. Same thing, different planet. Here there can be too much conversations, lots of conversations going on, many connections forming. So if you're wanting to make friends and join like a new community or something like that, a really appropriate time for all this. It can even be that, someone you meet for the first time is just getting all up and intense. And you're like, whoa, this is not something I was prepared for, but you know what? I'm just gonna listen or something like that, right? Or you might be the one who's feeling quite intense at this time, and people around you are being empathetic and listening as well. And the same day, we have a conjunction between Mercury and Mars in the sign of Scorpio. So again, that intensity continues. There might be, some strong conversations you're having here. Just be watchful about like what exactly you're saying or how you're presenting it actually, because this can be a little bit it can be hurtful. Okay, with Scorpio is very direct. Mars in that sign can be very heated up as well, and it can hurt feelings even when it's not trying to. Same goes with like Mercury in Scorpio. Mercury is all about the talking and the words and communication, right? So in Scorpio, which is intense, it can be misconstrued very easily if you're not talking to your right audience. Okay, so just be watchful of how you are saying something, especially if it's like something critical or something. If you're just having fun, that's fine. But yes, it's something to watch out for. Then on the 31st, we have a trine between Venus in Virgo, that 9th house, and Uranus in Taurus, which is in your 5th house. So Uranus is retrograde at this time as well. There are no new shocks and surprises, but there might be something exciting that comes out from a change that has already occurred. So let's say you started this new hobby in the month of May, and you have been under development, and you've been on and off with it. Sometimes you're like really into it, and sometimes not so much, and you've had other priorities and whatnot. Okay. But now with Venus changing signs into Virgo especially, and coming exact in this trine relationship, it's kind of helping you gather all of the things that you have learned so far, and kind of helps you understand what exactly you like, what exactly you've learned from your childhood, and what your children have learned from you as well. There can be kind of nice breakthroughs as well with certain applications you've been making since quite a while now, that you've been waiting upon. You're like, when will it change? Or when will I hear something nice about the changes that I've initiated already? So this would be a time that you're likely to hear back. So that's what I have for you. Thank you for being here. I really hope you enjoyed and that the messages help you out throughout the month. Stay tuned for the tarot reading. I will be uploading them soon. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified whenever that's up. And if you enjoyed the reading, please do like and comment your thoughts if you have any. It will be really lovely to hear back from you, and it really helps the channel grow as well. I will see you some other time. Until then, take care. Bye.